War. It is the very fabric of the universe. It underpins all that we know, from the simply animals that tear one another apart in the desperate fight for survival, to the legions of armoured warriors who march across the stars and search for redemption. It is both beautiful and simple, horrifying and complex, and it calls to me now, and I shall heed it. My true armour is my resolve, my weapon, my determination. I shall uncover the truth, and yet, as I ready myself for battle, I know for certainty that I am not alone. The enemies of mankind gather in the shadows. Soon, there will be a reckoning.
The Imperium of Man faces enemies which bend the very fabric of reality. Their use of witchcraft, tech heresies, and fell powers galvanizing their persecution of humanity. Each weapon of the master of mankind, whether angel or mortal in nature, striving to find weapons to confront such foes. It is the purview of the Emperor's Holy Inquisition to employ methods beyond the norms of acceptable society. For today, we shall elucidate the unorthodox Inquisitor of the Ordo Hereticus, an agent whose uncompromising will has ensured her survival through the most dangerous of conspiracies and manipulations. The Queen of Ruin, Astor Sabathiel. While nothing of note is known of Inquisitor Sabathiel's early career as a member of the Ordo Hereticus, her methods have regardless proven effective. Her relentless nature most emblematic in the seared scar of the inquisitorial rosette upon her brow. Rooting out heresies for many years alongside her peculiar team of mortals and a Jokero weaponsmith. Such a team would be pushed to their limit during her mission to investigate signs of corruption within a legendary chapter of Astartes. The Dark Angels, vaunted for millennia of service spanning from the very inception of the Space Marine Creed as its main primogenitor, to openly declare such warriors as heretics would doubtless invite sanction without robust proof. Having fought a warrior bearing their sigil allied to demons of the warp 5 decades prior on the world of Heerath, Sabathiel alongside her specialists, Anya, Hera, and Fitch, would invoke the tools of the archenemy in order to drag the secrets of the first into the light. Tracking the forces of Master Seraphus of the Fourth Company to the world of Exidion within the Califrax cluster, upon this recently warp-suffocated planet, remnants persisted of among the most grueling battles waged by the Dark Angels. A war zone which rivaled the blood spilled upon Prospero against the Iron Warriors Legion. This battle, with little record retained by Imperial records, was said to employ a weapon so devastating that it had summoned the warp storm which until recently had ravaged the cluster for 10 millennia. The Astartes investigating their old hunting ground, finding warp-spawn hordes. Simultaneously, the Fourth Company chaplain, Alpheos, would investigate the nearby planet of Tintaroth, which bore signs of life. Sabathiel and her team, investigating the ancient observation platform of Exidion for signs of the First Legion's perfidy. With its air recyclers having only recently been reactivated, Astor would find upon piles of slain Dark Angels, millennia at rest, scored with bolter fire. The platform's alarms warning that Exidion's surface had endured a calamitous bombardment by a vast, ramshackle asteroid. This construct of the Iron Warriors allowed for their invasion of the returned world to foil the efforts of the Dark Angels. Unwilling to allow the Iron Warriors to secure the prize they sought upon the surface, Master Seraphus deployed all his remaining forces, warriors of the Green Wing, Raven Wing, Death Wing, and even aid from the Knights of Tintaroth, engaging the Iron Warriors as the Inquisitor observed from orbit. The fighting on Exidion triggering a power source which gorged on the souls of millions of warriors. In the days that followed, Sabathiel struggled to achieve restful sleep as nightmares harried her dreams. The imprisoned demon-possessed soul within the bowels of her ship, beckoning her for counsel. Its barbed entreaties for insight to unravel the Dark Angels proved too powerful to ignore. Shown a vision of the world of Quintus, wherein a chaos cult was revealed to be worshipping the figure which bore the stature of a fallen angel, Astor made all haste to deploy upon the planet to cleanse the heretics. Donning her unique panoply, modeled on the designs of Astartes Terminator armor created on the Forge world of Folon, whilst not capable of reflexes permitted by integration with a black carapace, this warsuit nonetheless proved exceptionally potent when Astor engaged on a war footing. Astor's landing craft, fired upon by the native inhabitants of Quintus, Sabathiel carved a path through the cultists supported by abhumans with her force stave, as a troop of harlequins investigated the remnants of Craftworld Feminerae nearby. the Harlequins activating dormant Necrons beneath the surface as Astor's team purged the forests of Quintus. Evidence suggested the cultists had never seen the light of the Astronomicon, leaving them as prey for the ruinous powers. Watching the cultists from afar, worshipping an imposing Dark Angel, as the Necrons mobilized, the Harlequins scavenged what could be found from the ruins of Feminere as the Dark Angels entered the fray. Delving deeper into the domains of the cultists, slicing righteous fury through their ranks. Upon reaching the fallen angel, Astor's strike revealed it to be nothing more than a suit of empty armor, yet now bore tangible proof of the chapter's downfall. Withdrawing as the Dark Angels detonated the Craftworld's reactor, Sabathiel would lose the evidence to which she had sought. Yet unbeknownst to Astor, the demon host within her ship's cell communed with the fallen angel who had orchestrated events from the shadows. Summoning aid from the chamber militant of the Ordo Malleus, the Grey Knights, to aid in her endeavor, Justicar Leofric would meet with Sabathiel within her flagship to discuss her accusations against the Dark Angels. Warning that such a claim was dangerous in the extreme to levy against such a prestigious chapter. Were it not for his own prognosticator's visions of demonic activity, their order may not have intervened otherwise. Leofric demanding evidence to give credence to Astor's assertions, Sabathiel revealed accounts of her dealings on Herath, tracking the fallen angels to the Califrax cluster in search of further treachery. Speaking of her team's recent mission to the orbital station, finding bodies of Dark Angels who had fired upon one another, as well as the cult worship of the armored panoply on Quintus, Leofric, following counsel from his brothers, resolved to confront Master Seraphus personally. The Dark Angels, refusing commands to disengage their engines, knowing that evidence of their interrogation facilities made for the Fallen would condemn them. As tensions rose, chaos began to stir. Denying the Grey Knights boarding rights, forcing such Astartes to deploy in force. As an Iron Warrior's battle barge emerged, an entire fleet of warships would face the squabbling Imperials. Each of the Iron Warrior fleet vessels not aiming its weapons at the Dark Angel's flagship, further arousing suspicion. Seraphus fired volleys against the fleet, coming close to damaging Sabathiel's and Leofric's own. The fallen angel commanding none to fire upon the inquisitorial vessels as Iron Warriors boarded the Dark Angel's battle barge. Though Fitch would warn Asta of the cackling emanating from the restrained demon host cell, her orders would be to ignore its ramblings. The Dark Angels launching a strike team to board Sabathiel's vessel in order to discover her true motivations. Prognosticators of the Grey Knights warned of an imminent warp incursion should the heart of the corruption not be found. Hera, Fitch, Anya, and the Jokero slain by the Dark Angels as Sabathiel and Leofric boarded the Dark Angel's vessel. Seraphus would save Astor's life from the Iron Warriors, further emboldening her to anger. The Dark Angels finding upon the demon host, Sarasti, which revealed its manipulation of both the fallen angel and Sabathiel millennia in the making. Its vendetta against the Lion for sundering his form as a Lord of Change began its orchestrated plot to destroy the Dark Angel's chapter. Firing upon the demon host, freeing it from its fleshy confines, Brother Valiath transmit imagery of its husk, as well as word of the Inquisitor's manipulations to Master Seraphus, condemning Sabathiel as a heretic. Castellan Leofric turning on Astor as she professed her loyalty to the Emperor. As she made justifications for consorting with demons, the Grey Knight fired a round from his Stormbolter into her heart. The fallen angel slain by Chaplain Alpheos, triggering the detonation of the storm of Pandrosa once more. Though all trace of the Dark Angels, Iron Warriors, and Grey Knights would disappear from real space, the fate of Inquisitor Sabathiel would be preserved by the now released Lord of Change. Awakening from her trials within the Califrax cluster, a century following the storm of Pandrosa's resurgence, within an ecclesiarchal complex of the Order of the Empty Chalice, the tech priest Metic explained her predicament. Her wounds tended by the outcast artificer under orders from the mysterious Inquisitor Messias Mandrith of the Ordo Hereticus. Having left 27 days prior, Mandrith also commissioned her slain compatriot, Fitch, to be preserved in the form of a servo skull. Astor's wounds knitted by a fabricated skin and organ composite, allowing her to resume her duties as an Inquisitor. Though now convinced that all Space Marines are traitors, her conclave would require an act of penance for her to return to the fold. Recruiting a new team of agents to support her in her efforts, consisting of the squad of Astoria Mines, Brondel, interrogator savant Bledheim, the techno-archaeologist Silk, female pit fighter Mercy, and tech priest Metic, alongside his rat familiar Nimbic. Ordered by Inquisitor Heldren to purge the planet of Balfos of a cult uprising, should Sabathiel succeed in her mission to eradicate the cult, the Conclave may accept her back into the fold. Set upon by mutated Sinchian cultists during their mission, Astor would save Brondel multiple times, wading through the jungles alongside Metic. The strike team of Bledheim, Silk, and Mercy, using the distraction to set charges around the cultist pyramid shrine as their primary objective. Finding the remains of several inquisitorial kill teams who had failed in their mission to destroy the pyramid. During the mayhem, Astor's team would be confronted by the ancient Thousand Sons dreadnought, known as the Blessed One. Attacking with its power fist due to lacking any ammunition for its long empty autocannon, Astor ordered Bledheim to detonate the pyramid as her team set upon the Goliath, hoping to capitalize on its destruction. Plunging the pyramid into the earth as torrents of water rushed into the chasm made by melter charges. As the dreadnought attempted to steady itself, Astor plunged her force stave into its chest, saving Brondel once again from death as it tumbled into the void. Successful in cleansing the cultists, Sabathiel returned to Heldren, only to find him mortally wounded within his library, his hand pointing to a mortuary site holomap, gesturing to a tomb within the hive scroll of the planet of Hulf. Confronted by the Inquisitor, Atticus Sinjan, framing her for the assassination, Sabathiel, in an act of defense, dueled the agent following his destruction of the holomap, her power sword cutting his cheek and severing his blade arm before she took cover from his men's lasfire. Seeing the visage of Fitch the Servo Skull behind the stained glass panes of the chamber, Sabathiel fired at the space highlighted by its sensors, jumping through the structural weak point to a waiting lander. Rescued by her team, as Metic tended to her wounds, Sabathiel and her agents descended upon the high scroll of Hulf, with Silk and Mercy guarding the lander, as the remainder investigated the tomb marked by the holomap. Finding upon Inquisitor Mandref within the gaudy tomb of the Navigator House of Bleef, Mandref spoke with Sabathiel as his aides of ex-enforcer Eloise, the Ogrin Knoll, and his familiar searched for clues. Explaining that House Bleef had been smuggling Archaeotech, using the tomb as a means to covertly transport an item of great value. Though Mandref knew Astor would track him eventually, it proved fortuitous she would find him on the same mission. Joining with Astor's crew, as news from Silk and Mercy explained that their lander had been destroyed, the assembled inquisitorial agents faced a group of enforcers outside the tomb, dispatched at the behest of Sinjan. Mandref, aware of Atticus's reputation and willing to join Astor to the Hive's gallows spire, the Inquisitors agreed to confront the navigators of House Bleef and uncover the mystery of the tomb's facade. Bledheim venturing into the Hive slums to seek out a tarot reader to clear his mind, the reader revealed cards never seen before by the interrogator, including the Queen of Ruin, which symbolized Astor Sabathiel. Drawing further bastardized cards, such as the Throne Inverted, the Interrogator, the Hierophant, Judge, Jury, and Executioner, and the Winged Serpent. Such was the peril within such foresight that the tarot reader hemorrhaged, forcing Bledheim to fight his way back to the encampment. Arriving at House Bleef's estate, and taken to meet with Jolus and Mimidia Bleef within their botanical room, though the siblings revealed themselves to have smuggled contraband from Terra, the Rosa Damania, both seemed shocked at news that Quintus's tomb was empty. Advised to speak with Governor Rasmuth, leaving Silk and Mercy to observe the estate from a distance. Within the gallows spire, Chief Acolyte of the Lord Commander, Chandra Mol, denied their attempts to meet with the governor. Explaining that Rasmuth had fallen ill from a virulent contagion and thus was quarantined from any visitors, Sabathiel gleaned that Astor must be working for Sinjan in some capacity, and ventured forth to find the man responsible for Quintus's funeral rites. Set upon by a Kalidas assassin as a result of nearing ever closer to the truth, before the killing blow could be struck, the Null Maiden, Aphasia, intervened, sent by a mysterious benefactor via her Knight Commander. Swearing to protect Sabathiel from further attacks by the assassin, bound as servants of the Emperor allied in cause. As Metic tended to Astor's wounds again, whilst her agents bristled at the Sister of Silence within their presence, a noticeable unease began to spread. Feeling unburdened from a lingering presence which seemed to have hounded her since her wounding by the Grey Knights, Aphasia's company, though unsettling all of her teammates, would nonetheless burgeon a great trust with Astor. Venturing to the Cathedral of St. Euphrates to meet the man responsible for interring Quintus, Father Rand, this zealot, delighting in the burning of heretics, spoke of how House Bleef's monopoly on space travel within the sector had made them many enemies. Mentioning only close family were permitted to attend Quintus's funeral to which he presided over, the Inquisitors would next deploy to a Hab unit garrisoned by Sisters of the Order of the Broken Key in search of the house's astropath. Finding his mind broken as the prisoner of Inquisitor Sinjan, Astor ended the Psyker's suffering and witnessed his blood etchings of two planets intertwined upon the walls of his cell. Brondel, Metic, Eloise, and Knoll, set upon by Sinjan's enforcers with the Inquisitors absent, Atticus would be driven back by the Ogryn following Brondle's wounding and the death of Eloise. Astor and her agents rejoining with Silk and Mercy at the Bleef estate after hearing that Chandra Mole had visited following her meeting with the Inquisitors. With Nimbic's infiltration of the Botanical Garden, they would overhear that Quintus was still alive. Confronting the siblings, Jolus explained that Sinjan had been protecting Quintus within the Gallows Spire, neither of them aware of his current well-being and feigning ignorance of Sinjan's true intent. Sabathiel securing a lander before purging the enforcers within their command center. The agents located Quintus within his cell, completely deranged, permitting Redheim to interrogate him for further information. Deliriously recounting that the conspirators had found the body of a comatose custodian following the Battle of Zern fought against Xenos witches, Quintus recognized Sabathiel as the Queen of Ruin before insanity fully took root within his mind. Caring not for the governor's quarantine any longer, the retinue ventured to his domains once again, Mandref killing Chandra Mol, who attempted to bar their path, wielding a melter gun. Finding Razmuth slowly rotting with an affliction of the plague god, Nurgle, the insane governor, though corrupted by chaos, believed he could restore the Emperor's soul in the custodian's body, using Fel Arcana to bind his soul within such a host. Killing the governor, the team redeployed to the conspirators' headquarters of the Cathedral of St. Euphrates, finding hundreds of cultists being sacrificed within a secret underground lair, inadvertently summoning the forces of the Plague Father. Sister Aphasia telling Astor to seek out her benefactor, Inquisitor Xeric, should she fall to the assassin likely lurking nearby. The team descended to face the Bluth siblings, Father Rand, and the forces of Inquisitor Sinjan. Observing the custodian's body being used as part of a ritual to summon a portal to the realm of chaos, Astor dueled Sinjan as hers and Mandref's teams fended off dozens of his bodyguards. Besting Sinjan once again, the assassin struck before Sabathiel could end his madness, Sister Aphasia intervening, but injured by the commensurate duelist as Silk died at the hands of an enforcer. Interrogator Bledheim defending her corpse and overcoming his own cowardice in the process. Sinjan injured Mercy, allowing the Nurglite presence to be summoned as the sacrifices ran dry. Tentacles bursting from the custodian's chest, killing Jolus and Father Rand, though Astor proved no match for the assassin, her pleas for it to see reason bore fruit as the Nurgle demon grew in power. Joining forces with Astor to end the ritual as Aphasia awoke from her unconsciousness. Though the demonic entity corrupted Mimidia's form to scream a dirge, which affected all but Aphasia, Astor within her presence decapitated the Navigator as the assassin aided the Null Maiden's carving of a path to the custodian's body. Brondle wading into the tentacles with boot and teeth to no avail. Upon being thrown at Null, the squad concocted a new plan. Metic standing between Astor and Sinjan in his attempts to slay her. The Tech Priest injured by Sinjan, yet spared as the Nurgle-like tentacles turned on Atticus. Though Sabathiel ended the Rogue Inquisitor, Sister Aphasia died defending Astor from the demon's wrath. Astor watching as Null held Brondle at the custodian, clutching a brace of grenades. The detonation banished the demonic portal as the cathedral crumbled, allowing for Null and Inquisitor Mandref to slip away unnoticed. Meeting with Inquisitor Jeric following her mission, who revealed he was a friend of Heldren. Though he had sent Sister Aphasia to aid her, he had no knowledge of Mandref, nor his affiliation with the Inquisition. Inquisitor Jeric stating that Sabathiel should now be a conclave of one, never to return to Sinjan's peers. As Astor vowed to find Mandref, Brondle, Mercy, Metic, Fitch and Bledheim would remain at her side. Now reunited with her Terminator panoply and a Voidcraft to search the stars, Sabathiel continues to seek out the weapons of the archenemy in order to turn them in the favor of the Imperium. Securing a Psyker, which harnessed the fears of the mind from a Dark Mechanicum facility on the moon of Karsharat, Astor and her team continue to push the bounds of heretical pursuits in order to better equip mankind for the danger to come. Yet as Astor embarked in search of Inquisitor Mandref, the mysterious agent looked into the screaming visage of his own form upon mirrored glass, the presence of the Architect of Fate doubtless weaving new traps for Sabathiel to spring.
You are most welcome, Justica Leofric. I thank you for attending my summons.
It is a grave accusation you have leveled at the Dark Angels, Inquisitor. A dangerous accusation. We come only because the prognosticators foretell of demonic activity in the region. It has little to do with your summons.
The Califrax cluster is a haven for such diabolical things. I have seen much, I shall enlighten you.
I seek evidence, not enlightenment.
Then that is what I shall provide. I have seen the truth. I know the clandestine history of the Dark Angels, the secrets that they shroud from the universe, the fact they walk with demons. It was 5 decades ago on Herath when I first encountered their creed, holed up in warrens of the caverns deep beneath the frozen ammonia sea. I learned that day what their symbol truly stood for: treachery, lies, corruption. I vowed to drag that corruption into light, to reveal their duplicity into the Imperium, to expose them for what they are. And yet for years they have evaded me, until now. I tracked them to here, to the Califrax cluster, suspicious of their urgency to be the first behind the newly lifted veil. And my suspicion proved well-founded. On a station in orbit around Exurion, I found evidence of an ancient battle where it appeared the Dark Angels had turned upon one another. And on Quintus, I dismantled a cult founded on the worship of one of their number. Their evidence is clear. The Dark Angels have turned their backs on the Emperor. They are heretics and must be treated as such.
I hope you understand the gravity of such words, Inquisitor.
All too well, Justicar. I seek only the truth, unfettered by the deceit of those who would harbour traitors in our midst.
This has been a tale of the Great Imperium of Man, read by the Remembrancer. Deception is a dangerous weapon, for it is used the world over. The tendrils of dishonesty misleading many to misfortune, strife, and misery. Though noble lies and therapeutic fibs do exist, which can lessen the woes of those who hear them, guile is often a tool which can destroy lives from seemingly innocuous intent. So be wary of subterfuge in your daily life, for the fruits born from its seeds are always bitter. The tending needed to nourish such a harvest, spiraling into obscenity to retain such mistruths. For the truth always outs, whether intended or not, and for every act of trickery which grows in size, the calamity when revealed becomes ever more devastating and unavoidable.